teacher of Yu-Gi-Oh! He's helped me out a lot, and he went out to Lubbock. And what place did you get?
I got 9th place.
And what you pilot?
I played Flunders.
All right. Any shout-outs before we start?
I'd like to give a shout-out to J Money. He was my ride there, one of my best friends. I'd like to give another shout-out to Benjamin. You know, he helps me play test a lot. Yeah, it was just really fun, guys.
All right, let's go to the goo.
All right, so first off, obviously, the 3 Robina, 3 Eaglin. So these are the very beginning of the deck. You always want to see both of these. You want to at least see, like, no matter what. Robina will search you any level 4 lower wing beast monster. And then Eaglin will search you any level 7 or higher wing beast monster. Next, I chose the 1 Stree 1 Toucan ratio. I had been playing the 2 Stree 1 Toucan and I enjoyed it. I saw another video on YouTube where someone tried the DD Crow instead, and their logic behind it was for DPE, so that way if Fusion Destiny, when they send it to grave for Fusion Destiny effect, you can just use DD Crow and banish it, and you don't have to deal with it anymore.
Would you say Stree's Sky Striker's best friend?
Oh, very much so. Always love targeting their Engage and their Widow Anchor and their Raise. The 1 DD Crow, like I said.
The flex with the ulti.
The Wind Barrier statue, obviously, you know, just standard. I chose to play 2 Impin. I feel that it's very much better to play 2 rather than 1. It allows you to extend for more damage, possibly no TK. It allows you to play through a few more interruptions if your opponent tries to chain Ogre or Veiler or something to this, and you have the quick play spell. You can go ahead, use the quick play spell, banish it, get your search, and then you have another one still in deck to go forward, and you can extend it even farther since he's not once per turn. 1 Ryza loops, really degenerate. 1 Apex for the Omni Negate.
I missed that card.
One of the MVPs of the deck, Dimension Shifter.
How many times have you just shotgunned this shifter and won?
I don't shotgun it and win it. I tend to wait for my opponent to put something on board so that way they can't just gamma it away. Unless I know I'm playing against Prank Kids or something like that and we're about to be going into time, I'm shotgunning this every time to make sure they can't do nothing.
I have a feeling that card will get banned at some point in the future. Maybe not the near future. I feel like at some point that card's going to get too good and get banned.
The 1 of Droll, you'll see why in a little bit why I play only 1. Next, you have the 3 Field Spell. One of the best cards in the deck. Literally allows you to play on your opponent's turn, gets you an extender, gets you anything you need for the deck. 3 of the quick play, very standard, allows you to dodge Imperm, Veiler, gets you to play through anything. Actually has won me a game with that 500 extra life points going into time. People always forget about that. Do not forget, 500 life points will save your life. I played 2 of the continuous spell. I was expecting a decent amount of back row, so this just constantly just makes it to where your opponent has to deal with it. Otherwise, they just lose on advantage, especially against back row decks. You're just constantly just sending their stuff away. I kind of wanted to see it, so it was the reason I bumped up to 2. I play the 3 crossouts. To me, I think it's a very great idea. It helps, you know, I've used it to call Called by the Grave to make sure my Dimension Shifter resolves. It's good for whenever your opponent tries to go for the, or whenever you're playing against a mirror match. It's good as an extender in the deck because it sets your opponent, or sets your plays up for next turn. You can also chain block with it by using this first, banishing a Plunder monster, and then normal summoning, and then you go Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2. Yeah, it will resolve negated, but it makes it to where your first one resolves.
Can I get your honest opinion on this particular card?
I think it's one amazing card.
Do you think people are sleeping on this card?
Oh, very much so. I have won so many games because of this card.
Let's do a cross-out buyout right now. All right.
Next, I played 2 Dark Rulers. One of the biggest weaknesses of the deck, in my opinion, is breaking boards. If you go against a person like my buddy J Money that likes to set up, 10 negates and say, good luck, have fun, activate this, tell them, I'm going to have fun.
Hence why we ripped the hand apart.
2 Book of Moon. It's good for interruptions. You can use it to bait out negates. It's good to protect against Veiler, Imperm, Forbidden Droplets. 2 Prosperity. Couldn't afford the 3rd. It's a great card. At 2, it did just fine. I saw it enough to where I don't feel like I had to have the 3rd. Would I want a 3rd? Yes, but $130. 2 Duality. I chose not to play 3 because when I did play 3, I was seeing way too many of it, and this only lets you see the top 3. It's just one of those cards I was like, I really didn't care too much. 1 Called By, guaranteed to make sure you hit those ash, I chose 2 of the Trap. I saw some interesting combos where people would set it just so that way they could extend on their opponent's turn if they got hit once. So rather than walking into another hand trap, like another Veiler or something like that, you just use this when your opponent normal summons. Most of the time people don't expect it. And finally, 2 Imperm. Cross out targets and good for hitting just, interruptions if you need to.
How many times did you see Imperm over Veiler?
Honestly, I saw Imperm a lot more than Veiler.
I saw Veiler every single time. I didn't see a single Imperm during that regional.
Alright, so for my extra deck, I did actually go into it one time against an Adignister player. This is one of those cards that I feel that if you're playing Flunders, you should be playing this card. Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Very much slept on. Yeah, it's a card where it goes against the deck because you're special summoning, but whenever you're facing down a card like Final Sigma or Arrival, this just deals with it, says get it off the board. You can summon enough time on your opponent's turn to put enough bodies on board to where it's like, hey, yeah, they have to commit everything into one monster. You just spam the board and say, okay, you can deal with one of my few monsters, but you're not going to deal with all of them, and then you just link into it. For the other links, I have 2 Omen. Never went into it, never used it. It's mainly for a side deck. 2 Blossom, never used it. 2 Imps, just never used it. I played the Christmas package, try to get free bodies if they ever tried to Maximus, never did. Big shout out to J Money for letting me borrow the 2nd Zeus. Didn't actually need it, was expecting it. This deck struggles with Zombie World, so you use Zeus to out it. 1 Downer, and then 2 Nightingale.
Okay.
Finally, onto the side deck.
Did you have to side a lot? There, or?
I did side a lot, but I only sided 11 of my 15 cards. There's 4 cards. I thought I would end up siding more, but I never needed to.
All right, let's save the MVP for last.
The MVPs?
Yeah, let's save the MVPs for last.
All right, so 1 Lancia, just for a cross out. Harpies, just for back row removal. I don't like dealing with back row. 3 Cosmics, 3 Evenleys, and 3 Harpies Feather Storm. This card with the Ryza loop is one of the dirtiest things you can do to a person, because you essentially tell them you don't ever play Yu-Gi. You tell them they have to have the answer for your Ryza right then and there, or they just don't play.
Did you resolve that card?
Many
Harpies?
times.
Oh.
With the Ryza loop.
Sheesh.
And then finally, the 4 cards I never use. 2 Nadir, 1 Ecclesia, 1 Punishment. I expected to see them, or to use them. They're pretty good, especially with like cross out and everything. Just I never felt the need to actually put them in this format, or at the regional. It just never really came up to where I was like, man, I wish I had these in my deck. I'm probably going to end up changing them out for something else to put more cross-out targets.
That was a nice looking list. You got any last words?
It's 42 cards. 42 seems to be a magic number for this deck with me. I tried cutting it down to 40. Absolutely hated it. So make sure y'all go like, subscribe to both of their channels. My opponents, round 1 I played against an Adignister. Round 2, Sky Strikers. Round 3 was Virtual Punk with the Brave Engine. It was a weird spam. That was my only loss. Guy had the God of Hands. Not gonna lie, I was a little salty, but it is what it is. Eldritch.
No Cyber Eldritch?
No, just trap Eldritch, and this deck with the continuous spell, it just bodies that deck. Prank Kid Brave, Sword Soul, Phantom Knight Brave, and my final was a Flunder Mirror match, which crossed out MVP, won me the game. Guy couldn't even play because I just turned off his birds. So, alright guys, take care.
There you have it.